Hey, it's ODB. This is OLP. This is issue 78 of Minitruckin magazine, which is June 98. You have the Project SS on the cover. Really badass cover, in my opinion. You got a great rolling shot. And from the looks of it, this is a true rolling shot here by Wes Allison. It's his 12th credited cover for Minitruckin. It is the 5th cover with Colorado custom wheels on it. Or 5th cover truck, if you will. You got the insert photo by Brian McCormick, BMC. We've had him on. Great guy. And just really dig this cover. I love the colors of the Ford Ranger. And there's a lot of show coverage, so let's jump right in. If you're new, please subscribe. Thank you to all the latest or new subscribers. Really appreciate you guys coming here to rock with us. You can see the features. Ranger SS, I think it, and it might even say Project SS. We'll have to see when we get to it. You got events, NOPI, Rezo, SummerSlam, Booger Bash, and Slam Summer. Here you see Scott's Exciter. This is now owned by a different guy. Scott had it a long time. And Brian Batson owns it now. But this Ranger, anybody know what happened to it? It was a Gaylord truck, and we know that because right here, June brings in Minitruckin Mag, Gaylord's Ranger SS 98 Ranger SuperCab. And, of course, there you get the credits. But we see the same Vitek ad that we've seen. Here we've got the Big 3 Minitruckin style, editorial by Shartsis. Appreciate Mike always chiming in on Facebook, just different posts and whatnot. He chimes in here and there, and I appreciate that. Of course, the previous guest as well on OLP. We got a lot more in store the next couple months before the end of the year. I guess 2 months and a week or so, which is kind of crazy. So here you go. The TOC or table of contents mentioned Brian McCormick shot this, and oftentimes, you know, when it says Minitruckin staff, it doesn't really give or lend any insight into who that was. So, you know, we look for those little Easter eggs, which was in the table of contents that said that he shot that photo. And I would assume that was part of this day's shoot. But, you know, not too concerned with that from a feature perspective, more of kind of a review of a new ride. Handle It. So a mod that was super popular and still, I would say still popular today, flipping the tailgate handle. And again, appreciate everyone coming through here. A reminder, if you look at the description, not only am I going through every issue, but I have the cover truck details, who shot the cover, who the editor was, all the feature names, years, I don't think make and model, maybe make and model as well. But all of that for every issue that we've went through, 277 up till now, all of that data is there. So if you're ever kind of curious, you can expand, whether you're on your phone or Apple TV or Roku or however you consume these videos, you can expand that section and see all the kind of the details of each issue. I don't include tech, only because, you know, I'm mostly focused on the features themselves. So X-Files, a popular show, of course, and pretty cool feature here. These are super popular rides. The Blazers primarily, this one being a GMC, at least the front end. And pretty cool stuff here. The GMC Jimmy, it says. And we know that, again, from the front end. Got the 4.3. Super clean. Shout out to Jeff Robinson. I saw him last night at the local cruise-in. And I was going to mention this, the Colorado Custom Wheels. I kind of remember the name Montrose, is it? It's kind of crazy how some of these wheels, I can look at it and it takes me a second and I'm like, oh, I know the wheel name. But Jeff Robinson, I mentioned him in the past, local mini trucker here. He had the single biggest contribution to this collection, which was a lot of early issues that came from Jim from Mini Madness. So thanks to Jim, and thank you so much to Jeff. You know, he hit me up years ago and he goes, yo, I got something for you. And it was a huge tub of issues. I was like, oh, cool, whatever. Started looking at him after he left. I was like, dude, do you know what we have here? And he's like, yeah, I know. And so again, a lot of these early issues, a lot of the early issues came from him, so I appreciate that. There have been other contributors, and I mentioned some of those in the past, and we'll keep mentioning those in the future. There's one of the table of contents photos, again, Scott's truck at the time, and it was a kind of a mainstay here in Florida. We saw it everywhere. It's cool that it continues to live on, just how it looks there. A lot of billet and acrylic accessories from Tom down south, who's still making billet stuff today. Here you can see this famous truck still around. Always blows my mind that some of these trucks, the legacy of them is still on point. Here we can see Time Machine. So that's what it looked like before it went to Time Machine. As I say, pre-Time Machine. Charles the Kid Armstrong. He hit us up the other day with a couple of ideas for people to have on. When I posted Desert Dragger, Lance was highly involved with that one, and the kid did, of course, the graphics on it, but he mentioned the guy that did some of the body work and fab on it, and he said, yo, we need to get him on. So check this out. You got the lifted shot and the lowered. That was Kent Cundy's, the Egyptian graphic, the Sphinx truck, as many of us, I think, refer to it as. I posted some cool throwback photos of that the other day. And Donnie, so I want to mention his name, Donnie Babb. I had seen this at Indy Truck Bash back in the day. We saw it at Mini Nats this year, which I hope that you guys will join us next April, around the 23rd, that weekend, in Maggie Valley. So Project SS technically was the feature name, but it was Gaylord's Performs Magic just weeks before SEMA. So kind of a sport truck build, I would say overall. It's got the Colorado Custom wheels, 255/40 19s. So as wheels started to get bigger, you know, you'd see guys, believe it or not, run some 19s. And trying to think if those are Breckenridge. Going back from memory, so keep me honest. Like I said, I don't remember every single thing. But real clean truck, kind of sport truck-ish. I would say, of course, Minitruckin-ish as well. But just a real clean stance. I'd love to drive a truck like this today. And nope, I was wrong. Right there, you see. Severance. I like to guess at the wheels, though, even if I don't know them. I'm like, I think I know those. You can see there, custom third brake light cover. So a real clean cover truck. And one of those few over the years that really wasn't owned by a particular individual, more of a shop. But you can imagine with the different deals that they would have with advertisers and stuff, they would want to showcase certain advertisers that, you know, spent the money and showed the love, and that's what they were able to do. So I did post some throwback of this. I believe Tom owned it first, and thanks Matt Torgerson for chiming in, because I used to get confused on which one this became. This was green, then it became yellow, then it became orange. It was originally painted by Cow Concepts. The graphics, I do believe, always stayed for the most part the same, but the color did change, which that still would be a lot of work. Brian Gendro, shout out to the OG, he chimed in as well, and he said, yo, we body dropped it. There were others that were there and that had helped, and, you know, helpers and whatever. But it's cool to hear the firsthand account from different people. So if you look up the hashtag Craig Elder, I typically will put it under that hashtag, even though I think it technically at that time he didn't own it. But really it kind of trickled down to Craig, and he did a lot when it was orange and it was on the cover. Here's the Street Beat Isuzu Pup. And we talked a little bit about that in the past. It will grace the cover twice. And it's one of those trucks that did. And here's the Ranger that we saw with the purple one on the cover. Of course, severed right here. But Rezo 98. And this would have been, if you think about, this is June 98 issue. So this was the December into January. So, you know, even though it was technically like kind of late 97, it was Rezo 98. So when I'm trying to come up with the dates of the different shows and stuff, I always try to think in my head, wait, which one was it? I went to the Sever 10th anniversary. Matt Torgerson, Ruscano, and we flew out there, and it always like tripped me up because it was like late December, but it technically was like the next year in terms of the reso number or year. Okay, so here you go. Badass Mazda with some billets, famous Tacoma. Really good show coverage. I mean, I liked show coverage like this. It was like bam, bam, bam. There's the rear of the Street Boutique. Keep saying Street Beat. We had Rob Rodell on. We're gonna have that cover coming up. He went out there a couple times. He talked about that. It's one of my favorite episodes. Shout out to Rob Rodell. Here's the Street Boutique Isuzu, and people ask why Street Boutique. That was the name of the shop, and they're still out there on. And then damn, another shot. A lot of mods on that one. It's still out on Sport Truck. The Tim, I think was his name. That shop tour. So we'll talk more about that truck in the future. Oh, check that out. Pretty cool. Love finding these. In Truckin, I never ripped them out. I always had them. So I've been flipping through Truckins recently, and I'm like, damn, never even ripped those bad boys out. Check this out. That's what Mike needs to do on his Mazda, man. Go full tilt. And we see, is that Ruben's? Shout out to Ruben. He was on the last episode. If you haven't checked out the latest episode 311, please do so, because we had Nick Crouch from Surface Art, aka Surface Nick, and he worked at Minitruckin. He actually talks about one of his favorite trucks of all time. He actually helped work on the cover. He did not shoot the photos, but if you listen to the episode, he'll talk about what he did. Never a fan of the eating games at any event, but certainly part of club games for some periods of time. Here was the Drop Zone Isuzu, and this is the one that was owned by Jake. Was it Jake Mooney? I would say his name wrong possibly, but I never realized, I think the guy with the Burb had this before that, but correct me if I'm wrong, because I get a couple of those guys mixed up there. Here is it Columbian King? So something a little bit different. I dig the stance on this truck, the subtle graphic. The front nose looks different with the bumper and setup, and then, kind of something looks a little bit different with that front end, right? I mean, just with the grill, it looks like, but really clean. I dig it. I've been watching the guy Steve. I don't know how to say his last name right. He's the guy that's always on the auctions. Steve Magnate, M-A-G. I think he goes by Steve Mag. He's got a cool YouTube channel, and he went over the other day. I should talk more about this. I think 82 to 2022 is the 40th anniversary of the S10. And he talked about a little bit of the history of them. They were the first light truck that was produced in the U.S. for the U.S. market. And he talks about I had never heard of this. At first, I wasn't sure whether to believe him, even though that dude knows his facts. There was a GMC, is it the GMC? So there was the S10, there was the GMC S15 or whatever, but it was the Gypsy. And I always think of that word when I think of Da'ali G and Borat and stuff, some of his old HBO show, and he'd go for job interviews, and they're like, well, what have you done in the past? And Borat would say, I hunt gypsies. And they're like, okay. But anyways, the gypsies, there was an S15 or wherever it was. If you look up Steve Mag, if you're not following his YouTube, if you like cars and trucks, I mean, I just dig the history. I think he worked at Hot Rod a long time, but he talks about that S10. It was a really rare package. And you kind of look at the stuff that they offered with the package, and you kind of go, maybe it was cool in its day, but it's so rare, I think, that it was cool to hear some of those facts. I know Johnny Garage Johnson would love that stuff, but knowing him, he already knows about the Gypsy. Hell, he could be a Gypsy. Shout out to Johnny Garage Johnson. Always supporting. I try to go and watch all his videos all the way through as well. This is Booger Bash. I think eventually this one hopefully will get in the Minitruck Hall of Fame. I think it was very close, and maybe I said this in the past, maybe it did get in. I have a hard time because a lot of my brain cells are tied up in this magazine. I do forget, I can't rattle off all the shows and people that were inducted in, although I am on the committee. So, did Booger Bash get in? Yes or no? Someone comment. Here you go, man. This thing is badass. The D50, I always think of just a Mitsubishi Mighty Max. Shout out to Ben. He's got a badass Mighty Max. And, man, I just really dig these. This is one of the first trucks that got me in the scene. And talking to my friend Jason Fitzpatrick, a.k.a. Fitzmagic, last night, his girlfriend, longtime girlfriend, she brought up a mini truck that also lived down the same street, and I kind of forgot about it. It was a guy named Ryan Kirby. He had a Mitsubishi Mighty Max, like an 88 to 92-ish, and his was slammed. It was one of the lowest trucks around here. Static dropped, and it was purple. So it wasn't Chris Lopez's. But she was talking about how she was friends with Ryan. And, man, that truck was awesome. I remember seeing it coming down a little dirt road that he lived down. And that was another truck that slipped my mind over the years that also was a big factor in me getting into mini trucks. Seeing that thing cruising. Dude, look how clean that is. That S10 dough. Mine was the same. Mine had the same air vents. Mine did not have that little air vent, I don't think, below, right there, below the glove box. Mine was like the most basic model you could have. And then here you go, the MTX. People forget they were making prefab boxes even in the era of the 90s, which is kind of cool. I can't believe how many prefab boxes you can get these days. I mentioned Sir Michael's recently, and then Gendro did chime in. I'd love to try to nail down his audio this week. Dude has had, I think, shout out to him. His birthday, born day, was this past week, and he turned 55, I believe. But, dude, one of the most single biggest contributors, I think, in our truck scene as far as the amount of builds, including cover vehicles he's worked on and just, you know, in general. But shout out to the OG, Brian Gendro. But again, this is issue 78. It's a 98 Ford Ranger, kind of the orangish color. Of course, it appeared at SEMA 97 in the May 98 issue, which we just saw recently. So the assumption was they either they shot it there or they lined it up around that time. Wes Allison shot it. This run, if I remember correctly, well, Wes goes on a couple of different runs to shoot back to back to back. But again, I guess I'll just leave it at this is his 12th credited cover, and he also, I think the next one he shoots is August 98, which is the S10 from Master Image Customs. We'll get there soon. Stay on the rise, y'all. We got ya. Peace.